Hey parents, teachers, coaches, kids pastors, youth pastors, literally anyone who works with kids or is around kids at all. So excited to be with you. My name is Daniel Young. I'm the Director of Student Ministries at Eagle Brook Church, and I'm also a dad to 4 kids from ages 9 all the way to 1 year old. And so I know working with kids is a challenge. For instance, working with kids, we deal with situations we never imagined we would have to deal with. The other day, I got up, I went to the gym to work out in the morning, and when I came home, what I discovered was my 4-year-old daughter had gotten a stool, climbed way high up into a cabinet I thought she could never reach, found some scissors, and decided to hack herself an absolutely terrible set of bangs. Now, this would be frustrating enough if it were a regular day, but when you realize this happened to be picture day at her preschool, this was a challenging situation. Anybody ever been in a situation like that with your kids where you were thinking, nobody prepared me for this? Well, like I said, no matter how you deal with kids, if it's as a parent or as a part of your job, one of the main challenges we realize very quickly is it's difficult relating to kids and students and teens because they're all so different. They're all each unique individuals with very individual and unique hard wiring and personalities and temperaments. So how do we do that? Well, I'm so excited to be able to share with you the fact that recently at Eagle Brook Church, we hosted a live event that we actually recorded. And it was with an expert, someone who is truly an expert on how people are hardwired. Her name is Kathleen Edelman, and she's been doing writing and research and teaching on people's temperaments, their hardwiring and personalities for over 30 years. She's got a brand new project she's working on. It's a book and a series of videos called A Grown-Up's Guide to Kids' Wiring. And this is gonna be so helpful for whoever you are in whatever way you work with kids. It's gonna help you navigate conversations. It's gonna help you communicate with the kids or the students that you lead on a day-to-day basis. So I believe you're gonna enjoy it, I believe you're gonna laugh, and I believe it's gonna add a lot of value to you as you face the challenges of working with kids. I hope you enjoy.
Yay! Is that your yay dance? I'm asking parents and teachers and coaches and counselors to do something totally different.
My name's Brent.
Hi, I'm Clay.
My name is Rachel. Hey, everybody. My name is April.
Ma!
I'm loud. I like getting alone time.
Gas stations are very sketchy. Does everything have to be a competition? And I'm like, yes, and I'm going to win.
It is uncanny how her stomach aches coincide with we need to clean up the kitchen.
With my students, I want them to pay attention and take my lead.
He said this, I said that. Why would he say that? Did I say this wrong?
Every word you speak should be a gift to the person that you're speaking to.
I like hearing good things about myself from someone else.
I like to hear, good job, well done.
Those little comments stick with me all the time.
Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. That's a lie from the pit of hell.
It's a framework of communication that has the power to change every single conversation that you have with a child. If you learn this approach, discipline will be easier, teamwork will be easier, parenting will be easier, teaching will be easier. I've seen it happen over and over and over again. That's one of those previews that you can just go, okay, I can go home now, mic drop, right? You know, you saw it all right there. But there's so much more. There's so much content that went into that book. And it all comes from building on the foundation book of I Said This, You Heard That. And the reason that happened was because it doesn't matter where I speak, whether it's a church or in my office or at a corporate meeting, all of the questions I get, I shouldn't say all, okay, that's exaggerating. 9.6 of the questions I get is on parenting. It happens every single time. So this book is going to change lives, but it changes lives starting with you. Because I want you to take a second, because you were a child one time, and I want you to see if you relate to any of this. Maybe it was a mom that said to you, if only you could sit still for 5 minutes. Or maybe it was a dad that says, why does everything always have to be an argument? Or it was a coach that you overheard saying to another coach, he just can't seem to lighten up and quit worrying. Or maybe you heard, why do you wait till the last minute to do everything? I just want you to think about that. And if you've carried that through in your lifetime, how did that feel when that was said to you? It would depend on what your temperament is. But what makes communicating with children so difficult is that one approach does not fit all. Just think about this. If you're a teacher out in the audience there, have you ever taught more than one child from the same family? Right? You have the first one that comes in and they're studious and they're taking notes and they're obedient, right? And then the second child comes in from the same family, screeching in on 2 wheels. They're loud, they're boisterous. They don't even know what order is. And you're like, are they even from the same parents? Like, how did this even happen, right? But what we have to understand is the temperament of the child. Temperament is the combination of mental, physical, and emotional traits of a person. It's their natural predisposition. Temperament determines the child's interest, behavior, and tendencies. It also shapes every word they speak and even how they hear every word spoken to them. But guess what? Your temperament determines your interest, your behavior, your tendencies. It shapes every word you speak and every word you want spoken to you, because temperament started when you were born. You are born with it. It's innate. It does not change over your lifetime. It is from the studies of Hippocrates. He studied how temperaments naturally responded to different situations, and they landed into 4 categories: yellow sanguine, red choleric, blue melancholy, and green phlegmatic. This next slide is extrovert, introvert. This is where it starts. This is the foundation of communication and understanding children. There's extroverts. These children talk before they think. They are going to say something before it even goes through their process, while an introvert thinks before they talk. This is so important because I want you to think about the children now that are in front of you. Maybe you coach, maybe you teach, maybe you volunteer and lead. So now you have extrovert and introvert. Then task and people, okay? Task-oriented children are gonna say things like this: I can do it myself. That I wasn't the one that broke the rules. Just let me finish this one more thing. That's okay. This is the game we're gonna play today, right? What's the common denominator here? The common denominator for task-oriented children is the to-do is more important than the who, right? People-oriented children are gonna say things like this: watch me, right? You can choose. It's okay if you play with my toys. I have a new best friend. What's her name? I don't know, but I just met her on the bus, right? What's the common denominator here? The who is more important than the to-do. And I love how that's kind of Dr. Seuss-ish, right? Like we're gonna remember that. So extrovert, introvert, task, people. Right now, with just that, you can start digging into the children that are around you. Because you could already start thinking, There's some kids that keep their opinions and thoughts to themselves, while others have way too much to say, way too much. Some get described as shy, while others get labeled as loud, right? So we have two different things. Well, actually, tonight, what I want to do is I want to talk about three big ideas, because I want you to take some tools with you tonight of things that I've learned over the 30 years. So what we have to understand is a child's temperament has everything to do with your biggest tensions at home, in the classroom, or on the field. And how do we know that? Again, we know that because children, let's think of this. If there's a mom out there and she yells, "It's hot," one child's gonna think danger. And what's the other child gonna think? Let me see for myself. Boom, right? And this is the kind of thought process we wanna start looking for. So let's go back to those things that we said earlier that maybe it stuck with you because maybe it was something that was said over you. If only you could sit still for 5 minutes. We expect a child to sit still. Why? Listen to what these are saying. Why is everything always an argument? We expect our kids to not argue with adults. Why can't he just lighten up? We expect a child to emote joy occasionally, right? Why does everything have to wait till the last minute to get done? We expect a teenager to be more proactive. So there's that word over and over and over again. This is big idea one. A child's wiring must inform your expectations of them. Rather than expecting a child to do things to fit our expectations, we must consider their wiring first. So expectations is key to the beginning of this training. It's key for every adult that stands in front of a child. It's to pause and think, am I putting an expectation on that child through my lens or through their wiring, right? So people might go, well, you know, I'm not really sure what my child is. Okay, your child is gonna be horizontal or vertical in their assessment. They're gonna fall into one of these categories, and it's gonna be very natural if we'll listen to understand. So let's really quickly go through, because we have a lot to get through. The first one is the people-oriented extrovert. This is the yellow. This is a child that's full of energy. They're enthusiastic, they're expressive, they're animated, they're curious. How is that child gonna thrive in those strengths? Because we're gonna influence, as parents and coaches and teachers, the realization that, hey, they have weaknesses. That's how they're gonna learn their strengths. That's how adults learn to live in their strengths, is because they can compare it like light and dark, loud and quiet, right? Because the same child can be rambunctious and wiggly, loud, doesn't like doing things alone. So what you saw in the introduction clip is the experts that I brought with me today. Because again, I can give you book knowledge, but I want you to see for yourself some of the friends and experts that I brought with me. So let's look at some of the strengths and weakness from my yellow friends.
You can do this one. Just a simple little.
Nice.
Maybe like a.
Is that your yay dance? What do you think some of your strengths are?
My strengths are like being fun and energetic.
So much energy. Like sometimes I have too much energy for myself. I don't know what to do with it.
I fidget a lot with like my hands and my feet.
Just like jumping around, like.
Oh, like that? Oh.
Yes. I just love like being the crazy one and having fun with everyone.
Tell me about your friends.
Have a lot of them. They're nice to me. They play with me. They make me feel good.
Do you like to be alone?
No, not really. It bores me.
Yeah. So if you're thinking you're going to be alone, what do?
Go where people are.
Yeah. You're invited to a big party.
Okay.
Like a big party.
Okay.
You know no one.
Perfect.
Oh, that's perfect.
Perfect.
That was going to be like, would you go?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah? How would you do that, though? Like, you're walking in the door. What's the first thing you would do?
What's up?
What do you think about chores? Do you have any?
Yep.
What do you think?
Not so fun.
Now, what's your least favorite thing to do?
I don't know, thinking. I don't think a lot.
Do you ever get in trouble for anything?
I don't think there's a day that goes by where I don't get in trouble.
Okay.
It's just, I'm loud.
Yeah.
Like, I even hear myself sometimes. Someone gave me a microphone one time.
Yeah.
I'm Batman.
And I was like, am I really that loud?
Mommy, come here for a sec.
You have a lot of energy. What's your least favorite thing to do?
Hopefully to do homework.
Yeah. What do you think when somebody says make a 3, 5, 10-year plan?
I laugh.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I don't even know what I'm doing today.
Why did the dog cross the road?
Why?
Because he had to go to the doctor.
Oh.
I want to dance with somebody. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah.
What did the triangle say to the circle?
What?
You're pointless.
If there was one thing you could change about yourself, what would it be?
Anything?
Yeah.
Anything.
Anything.
I think it'd be dope if I had, like, wings.
That was right on the tip of my tongue. Like wings. That I didn't even see that coming. But those 3 days, I didn't see a lot of it coming, believe me. You know, I'm so blue. By the end of the third, I was like, Mom, come and get this kid, right? So here's the thing, wings. Did you see the energy in that room? Did you, you cannot change that. Do you see what I'm saying? You cannot change God's perfect wiring of those wonderful yellow children. Let's look at the red. The red is an extroverted, task-oriented child. This is an independent, decisive, confident child. And again, how are we going to know that and nurture that? We're going to make sure they know they can be bossy and argumentative. They can be overly opinionated. And their first line of defense always is to blame. Let's watch some of my red friends.
Does everything have to be a competition? And I'm like, yes, and I'm going to win.
I like to be in charge and lead.
When do you like to be in charge and lead?
Always.
Always?
Yeah, I'm independent sometimes. And then, yeah, I like to be in charge.
I do not feel uncomfortable being in charge. It's something that if I see a need, I'm going to go and fix it.
Do you ever raise your voice?
I think I do a little bit.
Yeah, I can come off as bossy, but it, gets the job done.
What would you say your best strengths are?
I'm a really hard worker. I strive to be the best person I can be.
I feel like I can delegate. That is one thing that while I do have a tendency to take over, I at least give a person a chance before I do that. I can delegate it out, but then once they prove to me that they can't do it, that is when I start to take things back.
Okay. What do you think are some of the weaknesses that you struggle with?
Probably being bossy, impatient.
I'm not trying to be mean. I usually say that before I say something because now I'm known as the rude one. So before I say anything, I'm not trying to be mean, but this needs to happen, blah, 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 blah.
I do have a tendency to be bossy, which in some cases I'm like, dude, it works. Sometimes you just need that. But in others, they're like, okay, dial it back just a little bit.
Do you ever get in trouble?
Well, yeah. Sometimes I'll want to be the leader and a lot, and I'll just get really frustrated because things aren't going as I planned or something.
Do you think that you're misunderstood a lot?
Yeah.
Yeah? Because of what?
The way I carry myself, I guess.
Yeah.
I just want to get to the gist. I'd rather not talk about something for 2 hours. I'd rather say it in 7 words that gets the point across.
Yeah. What do you think you want to do when you grow up?
Something with business.
Because do you want to be in charge of it?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Do you think you would be a good employer?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah? If somebody is really annoying you.
Oh, no. I let them know.
Oh, do you?
Yes.
Yeah.
I let them know.
What would you say?
Stop!
Ooh.
Yeah, that was good.
That was a good.
Again, you can't make this stuff up, right? You know, you can. Those are powerful red children. You cannot miss them. And what we don't want to miss when we're talking about strengths and weakness, let's walk back to the yellow for a second. When they're in their strengths, they're magnetic. But when they're in their weaknesses, they can be the source of the drama, right? Just like the choleric, when they're in their strengths, they're a leader worth following. But in their weakness, that quick, they become the playground bully. So it's so important that we're listening to understand, because these kids are organically showing you who they are from a very young age. And I think it's so important for the adult standing in front of them that we use the communication skill of listening to understand. So let's watch my fellow Blues talk to us a little bit. Oh, let's first let me give you some insight, because I'm so excited about the Blues. I want you to see them. The Blues are introverts that are task-oriented. They are creative, compassionate, logical children. They're great musically and artistic, but they can also be moody, judgmental, suspicious, skeptical. Please watch my Blue friends. I love these kids. Of course I love these kids.
I
They're blue.
hold high expectations for myself.
Do you? Yeah.
I'm very sensitive. I'm like a perfectionist.
Yeah.
I just kind of feel a little bad for myself.
I like to be early rather than late. I want A's in all classes. I like to be safe than sorry. I don't like to mess up.
What happens when you do?
I can be kind of hard on myself.
Yeah. What do you think about like big crowds or noise or anything?
I'm not a big fan of noise.
Yeah.
I have a very high nervous system.
Okay.
I'm nervous about going to school, nervous about, like, usually I would just wake up and then get all stressed out.
What is your favorite thing to do?
Probably to read a book.
Really?
Yeah, I really like reading books.
I read National Geographic.
You do? I bet you it gives you a lot of information.
I know the tallest building in the world.
What is it?
The Burj Khalifa.
I like the Harry Potter series. I read the whole series in a week.
Fishing, swimming, soccer, guitar, makeup.
Wow.
Just,
Fishing.
yeah.
Yeah, what you
Just
thinking when you're fishing?
Good thoughts, positive thoughts.
Yeah.
Just relaxing a bit, just waiting to catch something.
And you're good just waiting because you're doing something you like, right? You seem kind of like a rule follower. Are you?
Yes.
Yeah. What if somebody's breaking any rule?
I think they should be following the rule.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not them and I can't make the decision for them.
What do you think you want to do when you grow up?
Probably like an engineer. Like,
really?
Yeah. Like I really like coming up with ideas and coming up with and building things and stuff.
What do you get in trouble for?
Not listening very much. I kind of, when I'm focused and zoned out on something, I don't listen at all.
Yeah.
Putting hands on my sister's school, not being quiet.
Really?
Yeah.
What are you doing not to be quiet? That surprises me.
I was just doing examples. I really do be quiet.
Okay.
She was just trying to give me all the details to answer the question properly. But did you hear the difference in the words? I love he has a high nervous system. I love that. And you heard stress, and you heard that they just want to be quiet, and they're thinking things out, right? And when they're so focused on something, they may not hear you. So again, the children, if we will just stop and listen, will tell you exactly their temperament. The last but not least is the green, the phlegmatic. This is an easygoing, content, kind person. This child can also be stubborn, messy, and sarcastic. Now, they can be very quiet and peaceful children, and a lot of times, you know, if they're one sibling of multiple or they're on a team, they can kind of be missed. This is the child that's maybe the quiet teammate that's happy to carry the equipment bag, while the red person is the one cheering on the team and maybe even telling them what to do, right? And what they could have do better or do differently. So this is a child that can be missed. But again, what we want to know is they can also be the most stubborn on the board, by far out of all the temperaments. So again, let's watch and see what they tell us about them. Let's listen to the words they use.
So your perfect day, what does it look like?
Oh, doing nothing.
Well, I will just watch TV. I would invite a friend over.
Tell me your absolute favorite thing to do. Read.
I like getting alone time, just having time to self-reflect.
What's the least favorite thing to do? What do you not want to do?
Most of the time, it's just get out of bed.
Interesting.
I mean, I don't like school.
Okay. What stresses you out?
Usually, like large groups of people.
I do not really like that much noise. So like keep it quiet.
I enjoy smaller, like one-on-one interactions, but when I'm with a lot of people, I don't find it as pleasing.
What would you say some of your best strengths are?
Sleeping,
Yeah.
eating all the food,
Probably bringing like peace and joy to people.
easy going sometimes.
What are some of your weaknesses?
My mom says that I'm very stubborn.
Lazy.
Yeah.
I frequently have massive stack of laundry outside my room.
And then like laziness, or not laziness, just not the urgency to get anything done.
Okay.
Or if there's like chores and I have to like unload the dishwasher, like I will not be the first one on it.
And what are they saying to you?
Put away your laundry. It's usually my mom is like, you've got all this laundry. This has been here for 2 weeks. Go put it away. I'm like, I just like to walk out in the morning and be like, wear this, great, throw it on.
Because it's so convenient right there, all clean and
You just
folded.
walk out, it's right there.
You don't even have to go. That's great.
Again, as you watch these experts sit in front of you, you can see in their demeanor, you can hear it in their words. Again, this is where we really want to be intentional with what we're doing with kids especially, is that we're listening to them. Like I loved when the little one started to yell at her sister, but her volume didn't even go up. She was just like, get out of my room, right? I mean, the volume just wasn't there. And that's not what the red child, or, you know, I was a little afraid of some of the reds that were in there. And I think you noticed there was identical twins in there. Did you see them? Identical twins that one is red and one is green. So even that shows you that God has a design that's unique for each child. So again, when you're looking at this chart and you're like, I can't really figure out what my child is, what I want you to do is I want you to think of their dominant temperament first. You know, it's as you become fluent, you can think of the secondaries. But with children in my office, I always focus on the dominant first. Because once you do that, once we consider the child's wiring first and we think about their dominant, then the secondary starts to surface. And then you can be able to apply that as well. But when we consider the child's wiring first, what we hope for most, less hassle, more cooperation, more joy, right? More cooperation, it becomes possible. But we have to think of that wiring first. So big idea number 2 is a child's innate needs must inform you of their behavior. It must. Because what we know is that I want you to think of your child and their innate needs, kind of what I did with my own children. I have 2 children. I've done this longer than they've been alive. And I used to call it their love tank for their innate needs. So I want you to think about it just like this. Just think of your car's gas tank. When your car's gas tank is full, your car's running smoothly. It's going exactly optimal, efficient. This is the same with children. If their innate needs love tank is filled, you're gonna get yellows that are inspiring, and reds that are decisive, and blues that are thoughtful, and greens that are generous. But if you let your car gas tank hit E, what happens? It starts to sputter, right? And it doesn't run smoothly. The same will happen with your children. If they start trying to fill these innate needs with their weaknesses, you're gonna get yellows that are interrupting. You're gonna get reds that are bossy. You're gonna get blues that are moody. You're gonna get greens that are so stubborn. So innate needs are crucial. This is the game changer for me. This is what separates me from every personality assessment out there. And I am telling you, kids, just like adults, they are trying to fill these innate needs from the moment that they're born. They just don't know it. So it's our responsibility to stop when they do a behavior and say, what innate need is this attached to? And then from that point, address the behavior. So for the yellows, we're talking about approval, acceptance, attention, and affection. Again, understanding what these truly mean are so important. Attention for a child is just like an adult. It doesn't mean that they want to be center stage specifically, but they do want your focus. They want to know they're making a difference. They want to tell your story, and a lot of times that has to do with eye contact. But let's listen to what my friend Max says about innate needs for a yellow.
I love being the center of attention. Like, I love getting on the middle of a stage, like, in front of a bunch of people, making a fool out of myself. Like, I love when people give me attention. But, like, I feel like the people who are closest with me and know me the most, and, like, instead of just giving me attention, it's more important to have eye contact and be like, hey, like, listen to me. Like, listen to what I have to share with you. I would say is more important with the people I'm closest with.
Yeah. So what do you find yourself doing to get attention?
I find myself doing a lot of things, whether that's video making or playing sports or like hanging out with friends. I love making videos personally.
Yeah, tell me about that.
Just, you know, everyone has their own things that they do or things that bring them joy, but you know, for a while, like, I make these videos on Instagram or sometimes TikTok where people will be like, hey, like, this made my day. Like, it's really cool, like, to get, like, there's millions of people in this world, like, on social media, like, that's taking over, like, everything we do today. And, like, for people to scroll, like, and you to get their attention to stop and watch your video and for them to be like, whoa, like, something's different about that person. Like, what makes them think those certain things? Like, that's, like, huge to me, of just being able to get one person to look at something.
Okay.
Fascinating, isn't it? Because as a blue person, I'm totally opposite of Matt, and that wouldn't even cross my mind. Like, that's not even an innate need, but bringing that kind of connection to people is part of their innate wiring, right? So for reds, it's loyalty, appreciation, sense of control, and credit for work. Again, these innate needs start at when they're born, and it goes right up until adults. If you're reds out there, you're thinking, oh yeah, loyalty. That means that's a big deal to me, right? Sense of control, everybody pulling their weight and doing what they're supposed to be doing. Again, how we learn to speak the language for a child is putting that into words. Wow, I really admire your character. It was so brave of you to stand up for your friend. That's speaking red into the innate needs. I didn't have to become a red parent to talk to that person like that, but I absolutely can speak words so that that child feels more loved and understood. But again, let's listen to a red tell us about innate needs.
What if it's not getting done? Like, what happens?
I do not do well when things are not getting done.
Yeah.
So that's a little hard.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where, I mean, it can be down to the last minute, and that will drive me absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
But it's gonna get done.
You find out that one of your friends said something behind your back.
Like, what would I do?
Yeah.
Well, I would know that to, like, never trust him again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really believe in second chances with trust because it takes a long time to earn. I mean, I would probably go to them first and just straight up be like, yo, did you say this? And then if I know it for a fact or they tell me, then I just put in the back of my head, okay, you can't trust them.
I would rather have you loyal to me when I'm not around rather than when you are, when I am around.
Oh, okay.
That is something that, I mean, in a small school, word gets around very, very fast.
Okay.
And so I hear the things that I hear, good and bad, what people say about some of the things I do, and it's just, I would rather, it really hurts my feelings when I hear someone, they're like, oh, she's my best friend and I love everything she does. And then I hear from someone else that they're like, oh, yeah, she's not that great. Or she does something like that. And that's where that really hits me different.
And how do you deal with that? Like, what if that's an exact scenario happened?
My walls definitely go up.
Yeah.
I'm a person that it takes a while to let my walls down and let you actually see the emotional side of me and all this stuff. And it's one of those things that if they get almost down and something like that, I hear something like that, my walls go straight back up.
Again, taking the time to know your innate needs and what they mean, and then transferring that onto a child is the game changer. Innate needs are like food and water. So I cannot stress the importance enough about knowing what they are and what they mean to the children that stand in front of you. So for a Blue, it's safety, sensitivity, support, space, and silence. To this day, I still do that, and because that's my temperaments, and so I'm very aware of them. But Sawyer actually just caught my heart. So I hope he relays to you like he related his innate needs to me. So let's listen to my friend Sawyer.
Do you worry about anything?
I do.
Tell me what you worry about.
Sometimes, it's especially gas stations.
Really?
Whenever we go to gas stations and one of my parents or something like that is going into the station to get something,
okay,
I worry about them because gas stations are very sketchy.
Oh, okay, yeah. So you're concerned for their safety?
I am concerned, yes.
Yeah. So if they didn't come out for a little bit, what would you do?
I would stay put because I have to make sure that they're safe.
Okay.
And if there's a lot of people in there, I wouldn't go in case there is some issue because I think that they can handle themselves.
Yeah, that the safety thing's big, huh?
It is.
What do you think about like big crowds or noise or anything?
I'm not a big fan of noise.
Yeah?
I like it quiet. I like a quiet space where I can just be free and not have anybody else to tell me what to do.
Yeah. And what about crowds? Like, I mean, you just said space. I guess I mean, what about noise and chaos?
I deal with noise every day. Our class is called the Zoo Crew.
Really? Mm-hmm. So how's that land with you?
Not great.
Yeah?
The only reason that most kids in my class don't finish their work is because they're talking.
Really? And what are you doing?
I'm working.
Yeah.
I try and zone out.
You just try to block them right out when you're doing that?
I try and get the back of the class.
Oh, really? And because that's
the safest, really, because everybody wants the front because they can see. I think the back is better.
Okay. And so you do what's best, right?
You gotta love Sawyer. Those gas stations can be sketchy. I mean, when that came out of his mouth, I'm like, yes, I agree with that. And again, in the strengths and weakness, in their strengths, they're the most thoughtful, kind children. And in their weakness, they can be the most judgmental, critical children. But it all goes to their innate needs. And knowing that safety is a big deal to them. And he's even very concerned about his parents and how they are and where they're at. He's very aware of that. For the green, harmony, feeling of worth, lack of stress, and respect. Again, this is a child, feeling of worth. I actually heard these words from a green child, and it was so burdensome on my heart, but it's exactly what they meant. Feeling of worth means to a green that, well, I'll say it just like they said. They want to know that they're missed and not forgotten. And that was very powerful to me from a person, and they grow up to be quiet, kind people, because sometimes they can be forgotten. But let's listen to some green experts tell us.
What stresses you out?
Home-wise, conflict. And if there's any, I can, feel the tension. I'm like, oh, no, I have to go up and read.
Probably, people having conflict, drama.
Oh.
People being mad at me.
Okay. What stresses you out most?
My siblings. When I'm trying to watch TV, they're always screaming and wrestling across the floor.
What about if you hear your sisters arguing in another room? Is that stressful?
Sometimes when my mom says, do this, they're like, you do it, you do it. I just do it so the argument could stop.
Yeah. What if people around you, all of a sudden, they are just at each other?
Well, I'll try and step in and like calm each other down and like see like where they're coming from and stuff like that.
You just don't fight with your friends?
Even if we do, I try to like end it as soon as possible.
Because?
I don't want to like have like tension between me and my friends.
Yeah. Do you feel like you get respect at your house?
Not so much.
Yeah.
Just because they were so used to me being like the peacemaker and just being like, okay, fine, like I'll get the short end of the stick as long as you are happy with like your side. And so they just got used to that.
Since I'm the middle sibling, it's always my older brother and my younger sister who are best friends, and I get pushed out of the way.
Do they even hear you?
Nope.
Nope.
So I don't feel very respected then, but I kind of just deal with it.
Yeah. How do you deal with it?
Ignore it.
He just ignores it. You know, isn't that just something? I mean, again, you know, for Greens, I have to teach Greens to advocate for themselves, but we also see that respect is one of their innate needs, which in the book, it says that that definition is to be asked for their opinions or ideas. I'm telling you, if we talk to Green children, if they have an opinion, they will tell you. So we have to let their yes be yes. But if they don't have an opinion and they say, no, I really don't care. I'm good with whatever. We can eat, you know, anywhere. We cannot go, what, you're not hungry? You don't eat, right? We want to let their no's be no's and their yes be yeses. Because again, this is an innately kind person. They will grow up to be an innately kind adult. So what we know is that doing and saying the right things occasionally won't keep their love tank full permanently. And what we also want to step back and really grasp tonight is the innate needs are from God. The innate needs are designs. They are not defects. So trying to fix a child or trying to change the behavior, all you're really doing is risking damaging the relationship or damaging the self-image or self-esteem of the child. So what we have to really do is understand is when we place expectations on children without considering their innate needs, there's a huge gap between what we expect and what we actually get from the child. We have an expectation of the child, then we have what we actually get, then there's this danger zone in the middle. Okay, this is where the unwholesome words start to fly, all right? And they may look like this to you. Stop already. You're too loud. She's too busy to say hi. Don't climb on the counter. You're not big enough to start baking on your own. Ask next time. Don't worry, you'll do fine. You shouldn't be bothered about others getting along. What we have to do is we have to stop and remember that every word you choose is a word every word you use is a word that you choose. Nobody's putting those words in your mouth. So big idea 3 is your response to a child's natural wiring is either going to help or hurt. So instead of saying, stop being so loud and distracting when people are busy, what you want to say is something more like this. Hey, I love your energy. Let's see if we can find somebody else to say hi to. This is what I had to do with my yellow daughter in the Publix all the time, because she constantly was thinking everybody, of course, wanted to say hi to her, right? So again, I have to look at her innate needs and connect the two. For a red, what do you think you're doing? Did you even think about that before you made that choice? Okay, these are actual statements I've heard parents say. But we can choose differently. How about, I admire how decisive you are. What's your plan for that project? I would love to hear how your thought process works. Or for a blue, why do you always have to be so serious? Don't worry, you'll be fine. Okay, Do you know what would happen if you, what happens when you say you'll be fine to a blue? Blues out there? Do we just go like, well, okay, then we're really gonna fail now. You know, fine. I mean, that's not even a word a blue uses, right? How about, I see this as making you nervous. I'm curious what you're thinking about. Again, for any adult, show curiosity and interest. How about the green? You shouldn't be so bothered about others getting along. Really? How about this? Thank you for being so flexible. Wouldn't it be wonderful if more people in the world were like you? When we criticize the natural wiring of a child, we are planting a seed in their heart that something's wrong with them. No. Most adults that I meet aren't trying to hurt somebody with their words. They're just not trying not to. And this is where I want you to know that most miscommunication is not intentional. So I want you to be intentional. Here's what I want you to know tonight, because we started with statements that you might have heard as a child. Your words and actions will echo in a child's life and heart and mind for a lifetime. Because it will. So let's choose those words carefully. But let's think about the power of words. Let's let them tell us.
Take one.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I'm so glad to see you. At your house, what do you hear your mom and dad saying most often?
Get off the couch. Come over and do the dishwasher. Oh, go clean your room. Oh, hurry up, hurry up. And you need to do your laundry. I'm not warning you again.
Be quiet.
Why?
Because we're really loud. Who took this? Who ate that? Why'd you do this? Why'd you do that?
You're being distracting.
Yeah.
Like, I need you to turn it down.
Clean your room, do your chores.
My dad says no. That's like all I hear.
Okay, and what's your
mom says like, hurry up, what have you done productive today?
To unload the dishwasher, to clean the table, to wash the dishes.
Remember to bring your lacrosse stuff to lacrosse practice.
Clean up your desk.
How did you not find that? I was right there.
What's the nicest thing somebody's ever said to you?
I'm funny, and my teacher says I have a good imagination. Someone said I had like a really nice personality, and that I can be really respectful.
Your smile's contagious. One of my friends said like, you're the best person in the world.
Really? How did that make you feel?
Like somebody really cared about me.
Yeah.
My coach, I love him because even if we don't win or don't have a good game, he'll be like, you guys did good, and he'll tell us what we did best and what we need to work on. I like hearing good things about myself from someone else.
Yeah. Has anybody ever said anything that hurt your feelings?
You're so obnoxious.
Really?
All the time. I hear that maybe once a day. Those little comments stick with me all the time.
Someone at my school said I wasn't good at like a certain sport we were doing for PE. It made me feel kind of sad and that I should stop trying it.
This kid said I was a waste of life.
Oh, really?
It's just no one's a waste of life, in my opinion.
That's right. What's the very favorite thing your mom and dad have said to you?
That they're proud of me.
Yeah.
They said you're gonna do great things one day. I love when my mom and dad like say I'm awesome and cool and like they love me.
I like to hear like good job, well done, congratulations, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think it's I love you.
Really?
I really like that. My mom says I'm special sometimes.
Yeah.
And my dad says I'm a really hard worker.
Well, that must make you feel very valuable.
It does. She says like I'm beautiful, smart, pretty, and stuff.
Yeah.
Makes me feel nice and makes me feel more confident and positive.
My mom always tells me that like I'm the most determined, so that's always stuck with me. Like if I have a project, I just remember like I'm the most determined one. Like, if I actually want to get this done, I can do it.
My dad tells me very frequently, and my mom tells me this a lot too, I'm glad you are my son. I just love that.
Good.
Ugh,
Wow.
Caleb. Caleb got me right at the end when he said that.
Yeah. Well, this content is so helpful. It's been so helpful to us as parents, and that session was really helpful. And we're excited to continue the conversation with you. I'm John Alexander. This is my wife, Emily. We're both on staff here at Eagle Brook. And we're also parents to 2 kids.
Lovely.
We've got Maddox, who's 10, and Marley, who's 6. Now, we have great kids, and we're really great parents, okay? Let's just be clear.
We're very good at it.
But we could use some help, and so we're excited to have a little conversation about that. Now, just to give you some context, Maddox appears to be a yellow.
Okay.
And Marley is a fiery red. And Emily is an off-the-charts yellow. I mean, just like, I don't know if she has anything else in her system, just yellow and everything else. And I'm a green, which I want to get this out of the way. Last time you were here a couple years ago, you said green is the most like Jesus. No. And then you basically said, you're like Jesus. And I've probably used that 1,000 times. Ask people. I mean, I have bled that thing so dry. And so can you just, thank you. Thank you. I just like to say thank you.
Just put it to bed.
That's been great.
Yeah, let's just correct that for a minute. Because I said his outward appearance appeared to be green. Because he was so calm, right? Easygoing, whether he was being spit in the face or he was preaching or having fish with his buddies by the river, he was consistently kind and calm and content, right?
Yeah.
That would be the outward appearance of a green.
So
I didn't actually call you Jesus.
Yeah.
So
I hear what you're saying.
Yeah. So,
okay. I think I still.
I don't call you that either.
All right. Let's get to the question.
I'm sorry what you had to live through for the last 2 years. Sorry.
It's fine.
I apologize.
I hear what you're saying.
It's fine.
Okay.
Okay. Let's get to the questions, and we want to ask some questions about our kids. Hopefully, it applies to everyone.
Absolutely.
We're going to try to generalize them so it applies to hopefully every color here. But the first question is this.
Okay.
What's the hardest combination of temperaments in parent-child relationships?
Okay, so overall, the hardest combination is red-green combination. And it's because they're polar opposite, and the only things they really share are weaknesses, which makes it very conflictive. Even though the blue and yellow is also diagonal and opposites, what they connect in is strengths. They're both creative and both sensitive. So the conflict isn't there as much. But when you're talking specifically parent-child, it's going to be a green parent and a red child.
That's
right
us.
there. That's you.
That's me.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's you.
I'm a green parent.
Yes.
To a red child.
To a red child.
Opposite gender, too. Does that
gender doesn't
matter,
really
play into it?
No, it really doesn't play a part in temperament, even until I'll tell you that a red female is going to have a harder time and a green male is going to have a harder time just because what the world tells us. Because remember, children are the purest in their temperament until the world starts telling them differently.
Yep.
So as the world starts telling a man what they're supposed to be like or a woman what they're supposed to be like, then they think, well, what's wrong with my temperament, right? But a yellow child, they're in the crib looking out going, how can I take over this household? So if you have a green parent, they're like, yeah, knock yourself out, right? Sure, paint the kitchen purple. Your mom will love it, right?
This is already, we dove into this resource a couple months ago when we first got it, and it's already affected the way that I talk to Marley, our daughter who's a red. I've really tried to change the way that I approach her and the way that I affirm her desire for control and I affirm her leadership ability, especially being a woman, a female, and going to grow up into a woman and being a red. I've already started to affirm that in her, and it's changed because we have butted heads quite often.
And most likely she will marry a green.
Oh.
So, so it's preparing.
Lucky her.
Hold on. So what are they like? Spousal conflict.
Yeah, say that again.
Spousal conflict. Red and green.
But this is why we want this right now for kids.
Okay.
Okay. I've done this longer than my children have been alive. So they've already applied this to dating. Yeah. They already know to look for innate needs, right? Good. So your child, if you start empowering her now about honoring the strengths of a green because it's opposite of her and her humbling herself. Reds do have to humble and realize that other people can do things, right? because they think they're right. Their motto is I'm right, and everybody do stuff like me, the world would be a better place. Right? That's what Reds think. And let me tell you right now, Reds are usually right.
Yeah, they are.
Let me just get it out there. All right, amen.
It's terrible.
But again, you're teaching her now to honor that green. And that may be her husband at some point.
So as a Red, most of our experiences with her, with Marley, are around like we'll be doing a task that is her idea, and it's fun for like a second until it goes wrong in her eyes, and when she goes from like 0 to this is the absolute worst thing that could be happening to her. And so here's the question.
Okay, got it.
All right. What do you do?
You pack up and leave the room.
Help. Yeah. So for instance, yesterday we were doing a project together. She wanted to make bracelets for Christmas time, and everything was going smoothly until one of the containers of beads dropped to the floor. Now for me, I was like, it's fine, we got this, we can clean this up, you know, but for her, I mean, she was angry and just tense, you know, her whole body reacted to that. And even though I tried to stay calm, that didn't seem to be.
So again, you staying calm or saying what a yellow would say, oh, it's fine, or look at the design it made on the floor, you know.
I mean, I didn't say that. I didn't.
Did you say that? Yeah.
You know what I did? What? You know what I did say? This is the truth. I said, hey, if mom is getting upset or, well, if mom is getting upset, then you could get upset. But I'm chill, so we can be chill together, which is wrong. I mean,
That's not the right thing to do.
I've learned that's the wrong thing.
Do I have an ant button?
I know. There wasn't anybody else in the house. I didn't know what to do.
But this is exactly why I talk so much about innate needs. Because, you know, even sense of control, everybody pulling their weight and following the plan. They're also extremely efficient, right? So even the beads falling off the table slows down her productivity, and it's not efficient. So again, we have to stop. I'm all about the pause. And then you want to connect that behavior to an innate need. But what you want to do is these three things. You want to validate, you want to compliment, and you want to speak their language. You want to validate. I can see how those beads falling on the floor really slowing down this. You know, I could see how you know, but you're so good at organizing and getting that done so quickly. Let mom help you pick that up, and then, weren't you going to make that other bead get at least 3 done for grandma this week? And then she's going to go, yes, I was going to get 3, and then I wanted to add 1 more for my friend, and she's already into the next thing.
Yeah,
right?
I wish she would have been there last night.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, well.
I'll try.
I'll remember that. That's
next
great.
question, and maybe some parents are wondering this, but as we have been talking about our own kids and just, okay, we were for sure Maddox was a yellow when he was younger. He was always on the stage. He was performing. We have all kinds of videos of him just being center of attention, life of the party. But now he's 10 and he's close to becoming a teenager. You know, he's just growing up. Is it, here's the question that maybe we're all wondering. Is it possible that colors change, or is it possible that our kids are one color at home and slightly different with friends? Talk to us about that at all.
Okay, so again, you're going to have a dominant and a secondary, okay? When you're first learning temperament, you really don't understand the secondary, but eventually you're going to have to, because a blue-green looks very different than a blue-red. I'm going to say to somebody, yes, I'll do lunch, but you go ahead and pick the place, because I'm blue-green. If I was blue-red, I'm going to say, yes, I'd love to have lunch. I would like Mexican, and I want to be there by 4. Okay, that's blue-red, right? So we at some point, we have to start listening for the child's secondary. If you have created a safe and unconditionally loving place in your home, you will even have a blue doing karaoke in the living room because they're safe, right? It's when we start to have our kids get out in the world and they're getting messages. Now they may exercise different muscles because they're unsure. Children are born to look for the guardrail. And what we'd want to do as parents is paint the white line before the guardrail. Because you cannot control them, but you can influence them. So to answer your question, because I get this for adults too, well, I'm blue at work, but I'm red at home. It's an impossibility because God wired them together. And what you're going to find is when you do this exercise of, I have a tendency, maybe you have a tendency to interrupt because you're yellow. What's your secondary? Or do you even have one?
I am 27 yellow and 5 red.
Wow. Woo! Okay.
I told you.
Even though she's only 5 red, she carries all the strengths and weaknesses of a red. So if the circumstance required for you to delegate, you would have to pull that strength. Oh, do you see what I'm saying? Yeah. Even though you have a tendency to interrupt and this over here, this certain circumstance requires you to delegate well, and you're wired for it. And this is what kids have to understand. That's why you're kind of seeing the difference of what muscles they're exercising. But your design by God will not change. You're just going to use different muscles as you grow through your lifetime.
That's great. Okay, so let's say a parent is not a green. Maybe they're like a blue or a red. Okay. How do you tell your green, maybe let's say 11-year-old daughter that she needs to take a shower and put on deodorant without hurting her feelings or making her cry?
Yeah. Oh, well, that's a good question because
we're in that phase with our son. Yeah. And it's like, dude, back upstairs deodorant now. And he's great with it.
Yeah. Again, motivating a green is probably the hardest thing. I mean, it is the hardest thing if they're not interested. Right? So it's one of those kind of things where we have to pick our battles and explain to them in a different way. Do you know how important it is to be with your friends at school? What would you feel like, or how would it make you feel if they really were kind of put you in an odd situation because they started asking you questions that you couldn't answer? Like, what do you wash your hair with? Or, where do you take a shower? Or, because kids will be mean, right? So you want to start preparing her to go, well, I could use the citrus one, or I could do this just to start the interest going. And then they have to be interested, right? If you just tell them, they're going to push it off. If you put it in a time frame, okay, greens either do things here or they do things here, okay? The pendulum starts to go. Everybody else is doing things in the middle except the green, right? So you could say to your green daughter, if you shower and get ready now, you're going to have all this time to chill and pick whatever show you want to pick. But if you wait till the end, then we're going to have to rush right out the door, and I know you do not like to be pushed or rushed. Most likely, they're going to do it here.
So is context very important for greens?
Yeah, again, it's context, first of all, like showing the interest, and then it's time frame, because they do things in very unique time frames. So even, like, I've been married to a green for 33 years. Okay, so...
Lucky you.
Well, no sense of urgency for 33 years. I mean, he's still at the hotel, maybe taking a shower. I don't know.
That's maybe putting on deodorant.
Maybe, I don't know. He played a mean game of pickleball this morning, so who knows what he's probably napping. So here's the thing: it's time frame. So they do good also with lists. So if the mom or dad gave her a list and said, hey, this is a thing that I know it's not really something you want to do, but these 3 things sometime today before 8 o'clock, if you could get these done. And again, you might, because they really aren't interested. She may not be interested in taking a shower for a week, And again, when they don't live with you, they may not. Do you see what I'm saying? But that's where we give them the tools to go, oh, be interested in these kind of products. Oh, do it in this time frame. Oh, if you do it here, you'll have all this extra time. Oh, here's a list of the things, as long as they get done.
That's great.
Let's talk about how discipline and temperaments go together. I mean, obviously, there are going to be times our kids don't do the right things, and they've got different wiring, different temperaments, and, things happen that make maybe us upset as parents, and so we operate a certain way or communicate a certain way, but how do you consider their temperament when it comes to discipline? I mean, you just want them to learn the lesson.
Well, the first thing is everybody uses, it's very important to me that people use the words correctly. So, discipline and punishment are two different things, okay? If I want to lose 10 pounds, I have to discipline myself to run on the treadmill, right? I have to get on there every single day, discipline myself, and at the end of a certain amount of time, hopefully I've lost 10 pounds. The consequence, a good one, because I did it. If I don't do it, it's a bad consequence, right? So again, what we're trying to do as parents is instill discipline within their temperament so that there isn't a punishment, right? But if there has to be a punishment, I'm always about the 3 rule. It's, you inform them of what has to be done. You inform them in a shorter, remember, hair, 8 o'clock. And then the third is mommy said, shower at 8 o'clock. If they don't do it then, it's swift and complete. But it has to match the crime and it has to match the temperament. If you send a red child to their room, they are plotting revenge. They are not up there changing heart.
That's actually very true for us.
Yeah.
It backfires every time. I go to my room instead.
Yeah. If you
All right, honey,
send
that's
a blue,
it. I'm going to my room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you send a blue child to their room, they're like, whew. Yeah. They're getting their book out and they're like, this is great. I'm going to do that again. So I get, right up to my room, right?
Yeah.
So again, finding the temperament and the innate need and then finding the punishment that fits that. Now, as parents, remember, like we said in the thing, you cannot put your expectation on them. So just because your expectation is it's done now and it's, the garbage is out at 9 o'clock because it's efficient and you have a green child, you're gonna be disappointed, and again, trying to fix or change them is only gonna damage that relationship. So we really have to work within their wiring. They can learn to do it. They'll learn to do it through their temperament, right? And again, they're people pleasers. So if it said, it would really mean a lot to daddy because then I won't worry about scratching my car, because I got that big scratch. That's more likely to get the garbage out at the right time than saying it has to be out at 9 o'clock because that's what the schedule is. You're tracking with me?
Yeah, totally tracking. Okay, so let's say you're watching and you're totally new to temperaments, but you have a middle schooler, you have a high schooler, maybe a kid in college. When is it too late?
It's never too late. It's honestly never too late. This is what I truly say. Because I get that all the time. They're like, why didn't you do this 10 years ago? Yeah. And I'd be like, well, writing a book when I'm 10. Just saying. I believe God is a God of perfect timing and order. Yeah. And I truly believe you all are sitting here tonight because this is when your heart and mind was ready to receive it. And that's when whatever age your children is, that's it too. Like my daughter's 25, my son is 23. They usually do great at the whole innate need thing because I've done this longer until 2 weeks ago. Oh. Yeah. So yeah, I got so my daughter
They're
is
probably not watching.
Yeah, I
Just
hope
tell
not.
us.
I hope not. She's yellow, he's blue. She's dating, it's serious. She's invited us to meet Justin's family over Thanksgiving. So this is a big step. Her brother's blue, not so sold on the Justin thing yet. So he's like, okay, I'll go for her, right? So we're talking about where we're gonna stay in Tennessee. And he's like, and Avery's always wanted, she's yellow, how about a tiny house? And how about this farm? And Bryce is like, yeah, I'm gonna need my space, because he's 6'2", Justin's 6'4", Avery's 5'10", like these are big people. So, and so he just is like, Bryce is very clear. I'm gonna need my own space. So what does Avery end up with? She waits, so the farmhouse is gone. The other house that we thought was gone. So what does she book? Oh no. The tiny house. Oh no. 5 of us. Oh no. In the tiny house. in 2 weeks.
Oh, boy.
Bryce's face when she said tiny house was like, safety, sensitivity, space and silence. I mean, she missed it all because she was like, yay!
Yes. And he's probably not going to fit any of the beds.
Yeah. Oh, well.
Which is a problem.
Well, that's why he said, okay, well, the only thing I can say now is I'm driving myself. So now he's going to drive himself, and he'll probably bunk in that car. Yeah, I go, well, I'll drive with you, and he's like, Mom, I'm going to listen to Spanish the whole way. You know, and I was like, okay, then I'm not going to drive in your car. You know, he's teaching himself Spanish, and he's trying everything not to keep me in the car.
Wow.
So.
All right, why don't you report back to us how that went?
I'm going to report back to you how that goes. I'll take pictures and send it.
Yeah. Let's talk about yellows.
Yes.
Let's just say hypothetically our son or daughter is a yellow, and sometimes it feels like, I mean, we saw that video. Everyone was laughing. It's so cute when you see it up on screen. It's not your own kid rolling on the floor, but then at home, you know, your son or daughter is a yellow. I mean, how do you parent a yellow child? Well, she's laughing because this is kind of, we talked about this earlier. Her mom tells me stories all the time of what she was like as a kid. She was always in trouble. She got notes all the time from her teachers that she would never stop talking. She was squirrely. She wouldn't listen. She just wanted to play all the time. So, I mean, I kind of get secondhand through that. And Maddox is not quite like that. But anyways, how do you parent a yellow child?
And part of that burdens my heart because this, again, we have to be really careful of the words, you know, because I've had a red and a yellow parent come in that are parenting a yellow child, and they're like, fix them, you know, and I meet the child and they're lovely. Yes, they're telling me jokes and but they're wired exactly like they're supposed to be. But they're hearing things like, you're too loud, you're too wiggly, you're embarrassing me. Okay, every time that's said to a yellow child, it's dulling their sparkle. Like, this is a sparkly, wonderful child. So again, is it okay for them to be wiggly all the time? No. Is it okay for them to, you know, be loud all the time? No. But this is how they're wired. So I used to take Avery out and let her talk and scream and dance outside. Like, we would have these things because we would say, because we're going to a restaurant in like 30 minutes. So let's get all our wiggles and screams out now, right? But even when she was in high school, she stood at a whiteboard with colored markers to do calculus. Because to make that child sit at a chair after school was literally punishment to her, right? And again, if you let them learn like they're supposed to learn, but they know their boundaries, because she works in an office now, a medical office. She's a graphic designer. She can't be wiggling around all day. You know, she can't be interrupting people. So she's learning what strengths and weaknesses are and what the boundary is and how does she exert that energy. Sometimes she goes and swims, you know, during her lunch break. Do you see what I'm saying? So we have to let them be them, but let them know what the boundaries are.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's really good. Do you remember when Maddox was in kindergarten? The first 3 or 4 months of kindergarten, he would come home from school and he would go crazy for the first hour he was home. He would get he would just be like flopping on the floor. And we learned to just kind of let him do it. It seemed insane to us, but as a yellow, he was like getting all of it out because he'd been, you know, kind of controlled all day long.
And again, if we could get teachers to understand this and coaches, you know, maybe you could let that child stand up during story time, or, you know, you could let that child, you know, use color markers, or Avery even sang a song to a history, like she made this rap for her history test so she would remember it all, because she's not interested. She's yellow. She could care less about what happened yesterday, right? So she made a whole rap song about it, you know?
Yeah.
So, I remember as a kid, and it was usually teachers. It was rare. It was more teachers than it was my parents. My parents accepted me for who I was. No, but teachers, I just always remember being so surprised when they would give me the calm down, it's too much. I just remember just instant deflation. And maybe that's true of every color, but it feels more like you're popping a balloon than it
And the
it
fact
was
that
helpful.
this is why I love this book, and I love that you are all here. The fact that you can still remember that and how it felt makes my heart sad. Because I would hope, though, you know, in Scripture it says, on your tongue lays the power of life or death. I would want no death words spoken over a child just because they're wired the way they are, right?
Well, just to assure you, her sparkle hasn't dulled at all. And
Yeah.
so she's 37. She's still like, you know, so whatever they said, and it was
Yeah.
a private Catholic school, so, you know,
Yeah.
those things happen. But she is still like way up, you know.
Yeah.
So don't be too hurt.
Yeah.
You know, don't feel too bad for her.
I
All
thought
right,
you.
next
I thought
question.
you were about to encourage me. I like instantly like turned.
No,
was
I-
ready.
I know your sparkle hasn't dulled.
Thank you.
That's an encouragement.
That's sweet of you to say. All right, let's move on to the red son or daughter.
Yeah.
Let's say you have a red son or daughter. What is the best thing to say to them for them to know I am in charge in this moment as parent and not them, without crushing their desire to lead? I mean, it's similar to what we're talking about with yellows. Like, how do you communicate to them where it doesn't crush them? But yet you are a parent who might have to make the decision or have to be the one that decides. Talk
And
to us
again,
about
this is
that.
where that validation, that compliment, and speaking their language comes in. Now, again, you would have, if you had an exact role play, but to generalize it, that's exactly what you have to do. I can see that you're getting angry because you don't feel you're part of the decision making. But really, you bring so much to the decisions we make. And I love what you've said to us, but bottom line, this is Daddy's decision. But thank you for having some input in it. That really means a lot to us.
When you ask them for input and you do all of those things, and you go with your own decision, is there some ding somewhere in them? Like,
Not
why
usually with a red.
Okay, got it.
Except that they're going, yeah, see if that works.
Yeah, totally.
They'll
Yeah.
be back,
Yeah, yeah.
one of those kind of things.
They'll be
like,
back to ask
they'll
me.
be back and ask
Told
me
you
again.
so.
Yeah,
Yeah,
And they're
okay.
3,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, not usually, especially if you've set them up, because again, reds are such fast movers, they wake up moving and then they fall in the bed, and then they wake up and they fall in the bed. So, they're already moving on to the next thing. Again, they've gotten the appreciation, they've gotten the credit for work, they're moving on.
I remember from the video, the gal who said, the one who was wearing the red shirt, very
Wasn't she
fitting.
something?
Yeah, she said something to the effect of, I don't let a lot of people see that emotional side of me.
Right.
So as parents, what should we do when we see the emotional side of
a red?
Embrace
it.
Okay.
Because really, a very healthy red will allow that vulnerability. But what happens with a red, and this is why I love reds, they are warriors. Reds are warriors. They're fighters. They will fight for you. The closer in you are to them, the more they'll fight for you. The further out it goes, it dissipates. They could care less about the guy at the gas station, right? But if it's right inside, they will fight. And right under that armor is mush. Like total mush. Now, do you see it very often? No. Sure. But when you do see it, embrace it, because they won't show it often. Right. But it will be shown on that inside, right?
Gosh, that's so good. Hey, we got just a couple more minutes here. A quick question about kids' relationships. As a parent, we might have multiple colors, multiple temperaments at home. So how do you intervene when kids are almost warring with each other and they're gonna fight, or like us, we've got yellow, red, just high combo of those. So they're trying to establish dominance. They often go at it, trying to establish control. As a parent, how do you intervene when kids are going at each other?
Yeah. Well, first of all, they're not trying to get control. They're trying to fill an innate need. And there's 3 temperaments that have controls nowhere near their innate needs. So again, here's where I think, and I did this with my own family, as soon as they were probably 3 or 4, we started doing what I call dinner definitions. And so one night at dinner, everybody, like say Bryce got to talk about safety. And he would tell us what safety meant to him. And then we would ask him questions. And Avery would say things like, do you mean when I walked up with you to the bakery at Publix and helped you ask for the cookie? And he would say, yes, that made me feel safe. Okay, once you start teaching them each other and what their innate needs are, they're gonna honor that. Again, especially children, until the world again starts telling them differently. You'll even hear them say out in the hallway, remember, mom needs a little bit of space, when she comes home from work, so let's wait 10 minutes before we talk to her. Do you see what I'm saying?
Our son does that.
Yeah.
He is very aware of
So
what we need.
again, now, like I said, my first big blip was at 25 and 23 because they really understood each other's innate needs very early. So when it's starting to happen, I'm all about the revisit. But this is what I want you saying to your kids. To the child, what part did I play? I want you to ask yourself, young man, what part did you play? And what could you have said or done differently to your sister?
Right.
Okay, because we don't want blaming on another person for your behavior.
Yeah.
What part did you play? And what could you have done differently? Because that's what I teach adults to do. What part did you play? And what could you have said or done differently?
Yeah.
So if we teach children to do that first, then they're going to come up and they're going to go, Mom, I know I should have let Bryce read a book before I asked him to play, and now he's crying. And they're going to work it out themselves. Yeah.
Our Marley, when we take some time to do that with her as a red, and I know this was in part of your videos, she has a hard time admitting those things, a hard time admitting when she was wrong. A hard time naming the thing that she did to her, that she may have done that was hurtful to our son. And so what would you say
Again,
to that?
she's red, so nothing she does seems wrong to her. So sometimes you have to step back and go, what's your brother's innate need? And what could you have done differently as a good leader to have filled that? Okay, and then you can revisit what she did later. But put others first.
Yeah.
Everything I do is off Ephesians 4:29. So again, I would encourage everybody starting tonight or tomorrow. Kathleen, no unwholesome words come out of my mouth. Only what builds Brad up, who's my husband, Brad up according to his needs and benefit Avery and Bryce.
That's good.
And so when you put your name in it, when she puts her name in it, at the end of the day, what could you have done to build him up according to his needs?
That's really good. All right, final words.
Yeah.
Final words for parents. Give it to us. Bring it home here.
What I think is that if we will just pause, I think we have to learn ourselves first. Because God, first and foremost, you have to be the best version of you so that you can then have something to pour in to your partner, your spouse, and then together you pour into the children that are put in front of you. Whether they're yours or you're teaching them or you're coaching them, you are responsible also to speak life words over that child. So again, your words are going to echo in their life for their lifetime. And I truly believe collectively as adults, we're responsible for the children. And I truly believe we can build them up one kind word at a time if we do it together.
Thank you very much, Kathleen.
So
Hey, can we thank Kathleen for being here?
Yes. Powerful.
And thank you to those of you who joined us online. I'd like to pray, and then we'll be done. God, thanks for tonight. Thanks for just an opportunity to learn more about how to communicate best with one another, how to become better parents, how to understand our kids more. Thank you for Kathleen. Thank you for her ministry and her expertise. And I pray for every single parent, every teacher, every coach, every person who has influence in a kid's life. Can we just have the ability to improve a little bit more so that we can affirm and guide and shape our kids into becoming all that you have created them to be. So help all of us, Lord, because God, we need it. We need your help. We pray this all in Jesus' name. Amen. Hey, thanks again, everyone.